What's up, everybody?
What's up?
Welcome to Attack the Stack. I'm Zach Morse, and with me, as promised, as advertised, is the lovely, talented actress, stuntwoman, martial artist, motion capture performer, who does a little bit of singing and dancing as well, and writing and editing and a lot of shit.
Thank you.
Amy Johnston.
What's up, everyone? I'm excited to be here.
So we're gonna go ahead and get right into this. I know we're running a bit late, but I wanted you guys to check out some of that new Spider-Man content that's been coming out over the past week. I'm so ready for this game. Before we get started, though, I wanted to let you guys know, those of you that are already part of the community, this is gonna sound familiar to you, but for those of you that are new, Attack the Stack's doing its first ever giveaway. We're giving away $60 in Amazon gift cards, so it'd be perfect opportunity for you to pre-order this game, or maybe another game that's coming out this fall, or maybe it's a game in your backlog. We don't really care, or maybe it's groceries. We don't really care how you spend it, but if you want more details on that, you want to enter that giveaway, just go to my Twitter page or Instagram. I'm at Zach1Morse on both platforms, and I'm the same on PlayStation if you want to find me there and join our community on PlayStation. It's Attack the Stack, but it's ZAC the number 1 MORRIS. So without further ado, let's get into it. First of all, how are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you doing?
Good. Funny story. Before we get into the Spider-Man talk, this morning Amy she had like a surreal moment. She was saying, 8 years ago today, I was training with this small, you could tell the story better than I can. Okay. But I think it's worth telling. It's a really funny story. So
8 years ago, when I first moved to LA and got into the industry, I was training with this group called Kung Fu Femmes. I was a part of this all female girls martial arts group, and it was a small little thing, not really any money or anything. And we always trained at this park, and I just thought it was funny today that after 8 years, I go back to this park, and I'm now rehearsing with
Darth Maul.
For
those of you guys don't know, what's his name?
His name is Ray Park. He's an awesome guy. I worked with him on Accident Man, which is a really funny British comedy action film that you should check out if you haven't.
It's based off a comic as well.
Yes, by Pat Mills. It's really funny, actually. It's one of my favorite films I've done.
I think it's your best film that you've done. Amy, it's her most recent film. It just came out earlier this year, right?
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
So I got to rehearse with Ray Park for something that's coming up in the next couple days, and I just thought it was a cool little moment 8 years later to be doing something on a much higher level, I suppose.
What is it that you're working on with Ray Park, Darth Maul? Can't talk about it?
No, I can't talk about it yet, but okay. Something good, I'll tell you that.
Okay. Well, another thing I wanted to add, guys, is I will be taking Q&A from the chat just as soon as we wrap up with some questions I got sent to me throughout the week, and some other questions I had. So first of all, you kind of already touched on it, but who are you exactly, to those of you, to those people out there in the chat that don't know who you are?
Well, first of all, Zach gave me a very good intro, but so I've done a lot of acting and stunt work. I've stunt doubled Scarlett Johansson, Captain America the Winter Soldier. I've worked on Deadpool 1 and 2, Suicide Squad, and as an actress, I have a couple films out: Lady Bloodfight, which is on Netflix, Female Fight Squad, and then Accident Man, and a few other things. But I love working in video games. It's one of my favorite things to do because the community is so amazing, and I'm excited to talk about Spider-Man because I've been putting a lot of time into this game. So other games that I've worked on before we get there are Uncharted 4, Lost Legacy, or Uncharted the Lost Legacy, Telltale Batman, Oh, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which is coming out very soon. I worked on the trailer, which was very fun. I was basically climbing around all these apparatuses in the mocap stage. It was one of the most intense days I've ever had. But I love motion capture. I love video games. And so I'm very excited to talk about Spider-Man today.
You also worked on Days Gone, right?
I've also worked on Days
Gone.
Gone.
Which is another big Sony exclusive that they have coming out. I believe it's early next year at some point.
It's supposed to be, yeah.
I'm looking forward to that one too. Okay, so as far as your involvement with Marvel's Spider-Man, the upcoming Spider-Man game exclusively on PlayStation 4, what exactly did you do?
So with motion capture, a lot of times the motion capture performer will get called in to perform several different characters. Most of the time, I don't know what I'm doing when I get called in. They may give me some sides and a script to get an idea of what I'm doing. So with that said, I've played several different characters in the game, from like firefighters to civilians to Black Cat to Mary Jane to Spider-Man himself, to Silver Sable. Now, there's usually never one motion capture performer that does everything for the character. So we have the voiceover artist and the motion capture performer. Most of the time, the voiceover artist doesn't come onto the stage and capture. It's usually just the motion capture performer. However, with Naughty Dog and a few studios, they like to have the voiceover artist actually be in a suit so they can go through the movements and voice at the same time. But from my experience, it's usually the voiceover artist is, in the recording studio, and the motion capture artist is doing all the movement. And there are usually several different motion capture artists for the character. So yeah.
That's interesting. So I got a question on the Reddit forums. It was one of the Spider-Man Reddit forums. I think it was the Spider-Man PS4 Reddit subreddit. When I posted that you'd be on the show, someone asked me which characters you motion captured, and I said as many as I was aware of, including Spider-Man himself. And the person wanted to know, is that common for women to motion capture for male characters, or like why did they use you for Spider-Man, or did they use other females as well? Can you tell us a bit more about that? That's
a really good question. So the main motion capture artist for Spider-Man is Ross Constant, and he's incredible. He does pretty much everything for Spider-Man motion capture performance-wise. There are a few other guys as well, but what I did for Spider-Man was just a couple days. They wanted to get a bit of gracefulness, because sometimes a lot of women's movements are different than men's. They might not be as powerful. They might be a little more flexible. So they just wanted to get a little bit different movement to blend into all of the amazing other performers.
That's interesting. So have you seen any trailers for the game, or have you seen anything from the official game so far where you see Spider-Man do a certain movement, maybe in combat or when he's swinging around, that you recognize that you had to do?
Yes. So in the first trailer, actually, there was a move where I basically jumped off a trampoline and did like a front layout. And the idea was to jump off a trampoline, grab a guy in the air as I'm kind of like in a handstand position, upside down in the air. And then as I flip over, I bring the guy above my head and smash him down. So I saw that in the first trailer. That was really cool. And I'm sure they blended in maybe some other artists' movements as well, but I definitely recognize that one.
Okay, so you already touched on it a bit about your time working with Naughty Dog on the Uncharted series, the most recent two releases, Uncharted Lost Legacy and Uncharted 4, which A Thief's End, which were amazing games.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about the difference between working with them and some other companies worked on? Because I know you didn't mention, but I know you've worked on various game trailers as well. You did the Star Wars The Old Republic trailer.
I did, yes.
And multiple CGI trailers for film and games. So what's been the difference working with Insomniac specifically on the Spider-Man game as opposed to working with these other teams and studios on various trailers and games?
That's a good question. I would say with Insomniac, they've had a great budget, so we've had more time to play. And, I've been there several times. I've been on Spider-Man probably more than I've been on any other game because they've been, in production for a long time. So I would say The difference would just be for me being able to experiment a little more and have more time to develop certain movements for characters. It's not as rushed as maybe a few other games that I've worked on.
You know, that seems to fall in line with Sony in general. Well, Sony, their games division, they, from what I hear from various interviews from developers that are working at studios that are owned by Sony, they seem to be really good at being patient and letting the creatives do the creative work.
Yes.
And just supporting them financially. So that's no surprise at all. And like, speaking of Insomniac, I mean, it's been a while since they've done a PlayStation exclusive. I mean, they did Ratchet and Clank, and I'm sure there's some level of animation there, but when you're dealing with characters that aren't human, I would imagine it's more animation heavy, like the animators do most of that. I don't know though. Yeah. So that's why I'm really excited to see like what they do with this technology, because it's been so long since they've done even Sunset Overdrive, which they did on Xbox One earlier in this generation, was a little bit more heightened reality. It wasn't as not that Spider-Man isn't, but I'm really excited to see what they do with the kind of motion capture technology that we've seen in games like Uncharted.
Yeah, and actually you brought up something very interesting. So I mainly work with the director of animation. That is the person that I typically work with. He's the one that comes on stage. His name is Robert Coddington. He's incredible. I actually haven't worked with the director, Brian. So he's usually not
the creative director, Brian Intihar.
Intihar? Yes, I have not worked with him. Or
Ryan Smith's the game director.
Correct. I haven't been able to work with them because usually the motion capture artist works with the animation team. So I thought that was interesting to bring up.
So I'm curious, have you done any voice acting prior? Is that something you're getting into more and more? Have you done some in the past?
Yeah. So my very first voice acting was on Transformers Combiner Wars.
Combiner Wars? Where? Yes. What's that?
Oh, I forget the platform it was on. I'm not exactly sure where it's at right now. But it was a couple years ago, and I played a Transformer named Maxima. I had a couple lines. That was really fun. But since then, I voiced a few characters in Spider-Man.
So hold on. I gotta interrupt. Maxima?
Yeah.
What kind of vehicle is Maxima? I'm just curious.
I didn't see her as a vehicle. She was...
Was it an animal? Was it one of those like Transformer series with animals or something?
I didn't see her as an animal. She was just a Transformer.
She was just the robot form.
She was just the robot form. Yeah.
We'll have to Google that later. Yeah. Find that out.
So after that, I've done voiceover here and there. And a lot of times for ADR, for film work, I do voiceover. So I've been in the studio several times. But it's much different voicing a character without you actually doing the movement. So in Spider-Man, I voiced a couple characters, actually, small little characters. I'm sure you'll see very soon. But in general, I'm actually going through the dialogue a lot of times that the actors have so that I properly do the movements, because if the because if I don't understand what's actually going on in the scene, how can I portray with my body what this character is going through? So it's very important for me to actually even just do the dialogue as best as I can in the moment.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So let's talk about that a bit then, because I know you probably can't talk too much about this, but recently at Comic-Con, Brian, the creative director, I believe, he was doing a live stream. Yeah, it was a live stream with Ryan Smith, the game director, and I think Yuri, the guy
Lowenthal.
Who voices, Yuri Lowenthal, who voices Peter awesome. Parker. Mm-hmm. But he mentioned that Black Cat, who's the character that you worked extensively on with the motion capture, he mentioned that this game's version of Black Cat is Insomniac's version, I believe was the phrase he used, and that was kind of like ambiguous to people, but also interesting, enticing. So since you did most of the motion capture for that character, and you're talking about like getting into the character, like what did you bring to the table for Black Cat that you can talk about, or what's their interpretation, like what can we expect without obviously breaking NDA or anything like that? Right. Can you talk about it much?
Right. I obviously can't talk about it too much. For First, I want to say Erica Lynn Beck is Black Cat. She is who does all of the voiceover for Black Cat. And it was actually really great. Many of the days she was right next to me as I was doing the movements and she was doing the voice, and we were syncing with each other, which was really interesting. And that was quite challenging, actually, but very fun. Excuse me. But sorry, what was your question?
I was just curious, like, because you were talking about getting into the character.
Oh, right.
And how you use your voice. You actually say the lines when you're doing the motion capture. I think that's something a lot of people probably don't realize is that it actually helps you get into those movements of the character. So I was just curious, like what you can tell us about this game's interpretation or representation of Black Cat, specifically because that's who you played the most of. Right.
Okay. So without any spoilers, obviously, I don't want to get fired. I love working with them.
We don't want you to get fired.
No, I don't want to get fired. You can expect some incredible action, some fun dialogue between Black Cat and Spider-Man. And that's all I can't. That's about it. I'm sorry.
All right. The wait is not much longer, so it's okay. So you mentioned already, I believe it was Erica, right? And Yuri. Can you talk about working with the voice actors some more, and also the other motion capture actors? Like, how was that? Have you worked with any of them before? Did Troy Baker end up on set at any point? Because I know he's everywhere. Kind of everywhere. Him and Nolan North.
I actually worked with both Troy and Nolan North on Uncharted. They were great. So it depends on what's going on in the day. If we have like cinematic scenes to film, you know, most likely the voiceover artist will be there. But if it's just a big action scene or movements, then it's just going to be the motion capture performers. A lot of times, probably 80% of what I do is I go in and they tell me, you know, we have to get into a certain stance and we have to do fidgets. So we have to be in a stance and, you know, do random fidgets. You may see that in games when the character is just standing there and not having anything to do. So we have to do that. And then we have to turn, you know, 180 and fidget a certain way, and then turn 360 and fidget a certain way, and then turn back 180 and a lot of like very specific things for the animators to connect, like running to a stop, running to a jump, running to a vault, hundreds of different ways. That's 80% of what I do. And usually the voiceover artists aren't there, but I have worked with some really awesome voiceover artists on Spider-Man. We often work with Yuri Lowenthal and Erica Lynn Beck. And the guy who plays Mr. Negative, he's a good friend of mine named Steven.
I was like, wait a sec. Yeah, of course.
Oh, you just scared me.
No, of course. They revealed Mr. Negative a long time ago.
Yeah. Guys. Trying to keep my job here. But yeah, so it just depends on the day, whether or not we're working with the voiceover artist. Laura Bailey was on set a few times as well. So yeah, it just completely depends on what is needed for the day.
Okay, so I wanted to go back to the voice acting thing. Is that something you're actively trying to get more into, that you're training for? Or are you looking for opportunities for? Or are you totally content with motion capture and obviously all the work you do in film?
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely love motion capture, but what I love more is being the character completely, you know? So I love to do voiceover, and I am learning more and more and doing more auditions.
Yeah, I would imagine working with Laura and
I'm learning so
Nolan
much.
North and
learning so much from just watching them and how they improv and change their voices. It's really incredible, and I have, you know, a ways to go, but I am getting auditions and I'm getting better. So it's definitely something I am working towards.
So let's talk a bit more about the real heroes here, and that's everyone behind the camera, the team over at Insomniac, and working with them. Like, I know you're not working in their offices directly over in Burbank, but like when you're on the set there, can you talk a bit more about the people you're working with at Insomniac who are there on set with you? I know you mentioned.
Yeah, we have incredible people there, from animators to assistants and, you know, makeup artists who put the dots on our face when we have to get our faces captured. And it's a huge team. We have the sound guy there. Sometimes we have writers there, and everybody works incredibly together.
Right on. So when they're doing your voice, I'm sorry, I keep going back to the voice acting because it's interesting to me. Do they do you know, are you aware of them capturing your voice while you're doing?
Yeah.
Even though they're obviously that role is cast.
Yes. So
they still capture your audio?
Yes. About 95% of the time they will put a mic pack on us unless we're doing something very dangerous where we're intertwining with the other person and doing some crazy stunt that, you know, they don't want to hurt their mics, obviously, or their mic packs. But yes, 95% of the time we are mic'd up for any exertions or like breaths, because you know, all of that for them is gold. You know, they want little exertions for certain specific movements. So they're most of the time always getting our audio. Okay.
So another question is like, what's the difference between working on a film set versus this? What are the most obvious differences maybe? And then what's something that some people might not realize that's different?
There are so many differences. The biggest thing as far as like stunt work is you can have all the pads that you want. You don't have to hurt yourself. The animators can make you fly as high as you need to fly. It's really interesting trying to capture certain things like Spider-Man hanging down from something and Black Cat in this weird position. You know, we create this whole set and we have a team who creates this set for us, and it's amazing the creativity we get to have. And obviously on a film set, most of the time we're on location, or at least the environment is there for us to play with. So that is the biggest difference. You have to use much more creativity in motion capture. Like one time I was asked to be an elephant. And so they put a video up of an elephant for me on a big screen so I could watch the elephant and how it walks. In like 15 minutes, I had to portray an elephant. That was for Lost Legacy, and also a monkey at some point. So you never know what you're going to get.
Wait.
Yes.
I know the elephant.
You know the monkey?
I remember the elephant. There's a scene in there.
It was either me or Michelle Lee. We were both going around like little elephants. So.
I know exactly what elephant you're talking about. Yes. There's a scene in there where you hop on an elephant and it takes you. Oh, yeah. We're actually I'm glad you brought that up, actually. After the interview, guys, we're going to be doing a Let's Play with Amy on Lost Legacy, which... just real quick,
I did a lot of the motion capture for Nadine, and Nadine was voiced by Laura Bailey again. She's incredible.
Oh, this is the second time you've motion captured.
Yeah, she's amazing. She's
a Laura Bailey character. That's interesting.
She's incredible. So yeah, I did a lot of work on that as well.
How well do you know her?
We've talked a few times, but and we saw her at a party. We met her for the first time a long time ago, but yeah. I've had conversation with her. No, at I must have been for a rap party or something. Anyways, she's great. Sorry. I really like her.
Okay, cool. Sorry, Laura, if you're listening. I doubt you are, but anyways, I'd love to meet you again.
Yeah.
Let's see, where was I?
Good questions so far. They're really good questions. It's not all the time that everybody gets to hear about motion capture performers or like the amazing animators and the director of animation. There's a lot that goes on that doesn't always get the credit. So. All
right, so let's just do it. What was the funniest moment on set?
For Spider-Man?
Funniest moment and the hardest thing you did for Spider-Man. Yeah. Oh, and while you're thinking of that, I want to let you guys know who are watching. Go ahead and start posting your questions if you have them now. All I ask is that you follow Attack the Stack here on Twitch, and we'll read your question loud, and hopefully we'll get an answer. So you can go ahead and start posting those soon, because we'll probably be done with these questions here in about 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay, I don't know if I have like the funniest story, but there's a lot of clumsy moments that I've had. Because by the end of the day, we've done so many movements. We can do up to hundreds of movements in one day, like over and over in weird, annoying, terrible positions. And so by the end of the day, we're often tired. And like last time I worked actually as Black Cat, we were doing some vault moves, and I basically completely missed my jump, rolled off of this platform straight onto the ground. And it was actually very funny because it was the end of the day and everybody was feeling the same way, and we had just had one of those days. So things like that happen often, very clumsy moments that end up being funny, or like having to get into weird positions that I would give you details about, but I don't want to spoil anything. So the funny moments happen through just the creation of trying to figure things out
through the contortion of bodies and whatnot.
Like I wish there were some behind the scenes footage of things that we have to do.
Okay, so what about the most difficult thing you had to do?
Actually, the most difficult thing typically is holding positions for a long time, saying I'm in like a crouch position in like a half push up with my leg contorted over my arm, you know, and Black Cat is supposed to be just kind of lurking or doing something, and holding that position for like 5 minutes over and over and over and doing certain things. That's actually the hardest thing, because when you have to stay still, you can only focus on your body and the pain that you're in. So those are actually the hardest moments. It's not the action necessarily. It's like these crazy like yoga positions that we get into. Yeah.
So much has been made about the combat in this game. In fact, I think it was yesterday they just released a new trailer that was combat specific. Can you tell us more about what went into capturing the essence of Spider-Man, the combat in this game? Because it looks so much better than any other Spider-Man game that's come before it. And there have been some pretty good Spider-Man games in the past, especially the Spider-Man the movie game on PlayStation 2. I think that's probably the best one that's ever come. But the combat in this game, I know a lot of comparisons are being made to Arkham Asylum, but I think it captures the essence of the superhero Spider-Man in this case much even better than Batman. Batman was great, but that combat, I could see that in anything really. It didn't scream like Batman to me. It was just this guy who's a martial artist brawler. Anyways, I'm going on and on.
No, I totally agree, and this is gonna sound like a lame answer, but the best thing I have to say is that the team is so passionate about what they're doing, and Robert Coddington, the director of animation, is such a Spidey lover. Like he knows everything about Spider-Man, and it's through passion that he creates these great ideas and understanding of the characters. And honestly, at the base of everything, that is where you get the best material, is just from passion and the correct amount of time and a good team around you. And that's the easiest answer.
Humble there. I thought you were going to say something. I mean, I would imagine that a lot of it had to do with them selecting the proper team too in talent. Like, but for those of you guys that don't know, she's a lifetime martial artist, black belt,
third degree black belt.
My apologies. So okay. I'm imagining that they specifically pick people that are experts and masters of the martial arts and acrobats as well.
Of course, but that goes back to having a good team around you. Right?
Yeah.
So, you know, like I said, Ross Constant is incredible. The guy will jump up and do like 3 spins and 2 backflips at the same time. So he has gotten some amazing movements and put them into Spider-Man, because, you know, Robert will say, okay, we're going to put Spidey here, and he needs to do a crazy flip here and land on this small little thing to perch, right? And Ross then gets to come up with certain different movements, and from there, you know, we figure out what is best, and Robert figures out what's best. So yeah, of course, it's definitely the performers along with the whole team.
So from your perspective, we're gonna wrap up soon here. What did you do on the game that you're most excited about and proud of? What are you looking forward to most when you play the game? We'll be streaming that game the second it comes out at midnight, or actually be 9 p.m. over here on the West Coast. So 9 p.m. PST on launch day. Well, actually the day before launch, because anyways, we'll talk about it more lately. Cool. But so what are you most excited about seeing?
I'm actually most excited about the couple characters that I voiced, because that's like a new that's a new thing to me, whether it's like a few lines or whatever. That's really exciting to me, because I've done a lot of movement for characters. I've done some awesome action scenes, and I love it to death. I love action, but I've never like heard myself in a video game, so I'm really excited about that.
That's a good point. I was talking to someone the other day about it, and voice actors are great. I mean, games wouldn't be what they are without them, but I think motion capture performers kind of get snubbed. I mean, you've seen it with people like Andy Serkis for years. You know,
He's amazing.
I mean, people were saying he should people were just telling the Academy Awards that they should create a category for motion capture
100%.
artists, mainly because of him, because he was so good.
But there are so many others that you don't know.
They wouldn't nominate him. Yeah, and there's so many others. So the point I was making is that, you know, motion capture performers, not that it's a competition, but they're arguably just as important, if not more important, because you're seeing the work of motion capture artists, the animators and the performers, much more often than you are hearing the voice of the characters in most games. And like I said, not that it's a competition, but I just think motion capture performers just don't get enough love, or maybe respect or appreciation. They probably do. It's probably not that. I just think a lot of people don't realize that these characters, they're actual people walking around there doing these things. Like, these are real people. Obviously the animators make it look even better, but yeah,
the animators are really the heroes here. They are truly incredible. But you do have a good point. I mean, not everybody really talks about stunt performers or motion capture performers, but that's normal and that's okay. But it is nice to be able to let everybody know a little bit behind the scenes of what goes on our side of things.
Okay, so I want to say, well, we'll save that question for last. Dun, dun. But yeah, for those people out there that are watching now or later, what advice or what tips, what pointers would you give them if they wanted to get into motion capturing, or they wanted to get into acting in general? What advice would you give them?
Well, those are two very good questions. For motion capture,
sorry to interrupt, but okay. Maybe about if they want to get into games, or if they want to get into film, or maybe it's the same thing, maybe it's a little different.
Okay, getting into, let's start with motion capture. I actually got into motion capture through the film world. I did motion capture for Deadpool 1 and 2, and that is when the studios started to get to know me, and I started to be able to network with different studios and get more motion capture work. So I actually got the motion capture work through filming. I don't have a correct answer for you how to get into motion capture, because it is kind of a small network. You kind of need to know people. But the best advice I can give you, number one, if you're a voiceover artist, I would read Yuri Lowenthal's book and his wife's book, who's also a voiceover artist. They talk about how to get into voiceover acting. It's a really, really good book. So I would recommend that, number one. Speaking of books, if you are interested in getting into stunts, check out the book that I created. It's an ebook right now. It's called How to Stunt in Hollywood. So that's, you know, different stories and inspiration and advice from like incredible stunt performers and second unit directors and actors. I highly recommend that. I'm not being biased, but you know, I created it with the intent of helping, so I hope it does help some people. Yeah,
I know you've gotten a lot of really good feedback on that from your peers in the industry, as well as, you know, prospective stunt performers.
And you know, there are motion capture classes, there are acting classes, there are so many classes you can take to at least take that step forward to learn about the art, to meet people and try to get a better understanding of what to do. Also, one of the main things I always tell people that want to get into the film industry or want to get into stunt work is like, don't always focus on the movie. Focus more on like behind the scenes. Watch all the behind the scenes. Listen to the directors talk. Listen to the coordinators talk. Listen to the actors talk. It might not always be interesting, but it's going to give you insight. How they talk, the language. You know, there's so many books on it. There's so many different avenues. But the most important thing is that you just keep taking steps forward. Right? You know what you want and you keep going forward. I could talk about this forever. There's so many things that I would like to say, but I would at the very least recommend my book.
All right. This last question, it might be the most important question. All right. You ready for this?
Is it from Monty Python?
You guys, what?
That was like question from Monty Python. It's like, oh man, I forget. It's okay.
No, I haven't seen that movie in so long now, so
I wish I could tell you.
But are you ready for this?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so please, can you confirm for us that we get to play as Miles Morales? No? Yes? She winked. She winked there, guys. Do you see the wink? There it is. She confirmed it.
Oh,
she confirmed
God,
it.
You're gonna get me fired.
No. That's the thing I'm looking forward to the most, is finding out if we get to play as Mr. Morales. I'm a big fan of that character. I love what they did. It's not very often that you see new characters these days gain the popularity that he's gained, and with the upcoming movie Into the Spider-Verse, I believe. Where he's featured in there.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to finding that out. So anyways, that's all for my questions. Now let's see what we got here.
We got any questions
in the chat? If you guys have any questions in the chat, go ahead and post them, and I'll start sifting through them right now. So the first one I see is, how do you get prepared for that mentally? I think he's talking about getting into a character. So like, so Black Cat versus like when you did Spider-Man, or when you did the,
of course. I mean,
Silver. Did you do Silver Sable?
Yeah, I did a few days on Silver Sable, but I actually think the voice artist Nicole Elise did a lot of her motion capture, which is awesome. She's very talented. So
how do you get prepared for that mentally?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously it comes from a good understanding of the character and making sure that you're communicating with what the director or writer wants. But oftentimes they'll send me like a package of how they see the character or what exactly they're looking for. And then we have communication between all the creators, and we go from there and adjust. But, you know, mentally, it's just the understanding of the character at the base of everything.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm just saying hi to you guys in the chat. I'm just reading it now. Dan, don't worry, this will be archived. You can watch it later, although I doubt you can hear me because apparently you're on the set and we're muted, so that's fine. Do work, son.
Okay.
What else? What's up, Vic? Vic's in the house. Oh, Ranger says, who are you? Simple answer, Android 18. For those of you that don't know, Amy worked with some friends of ours, Robot Underdog, YouTube entertainment company. They did a couple episodes of Dragon Ball
Z, Light of Hope.
Yeah. If you guys haven't seen that, go check that out. Make sure you leave an attack exclamation mark, or no, better yet, stack attack exclamation mark in the comments if you go check that out. Just let them know you're coming from us. That's something we're gonna start doing. Now, that's a good segue. For those of you guys that also don't know, Amy Johnston herself, she's going to be on another group of friends of ours, their show on, well, we don't know when it's going to air, but she's going to be filming it Friday. Right. I know I said Thursday on the last stream, but it's actually going to be Friday that she's filming it. And if they film it live, you can see it then, obviously. But if not, I'm sure it'll air sometime next week. And that's the Kind of Funny show. Yeah,
so very excited. I've been trying to get on there for a while. We've been friends with them for a while.
Yeah.
They do.
So I don't know which one you're going to be on.
The
Gamescast?
No, Kind of Funny podcast.
One of their shows.
One of them. I'm not exactly sure where they're putting me, but I'll take it. So super excited for that.
Once again, for those of you guys listening, I really love it. If you guys check that out and you feel like leaving a comment on their page on YouTube, just put stack attack exclamation mark, just so we know that they're coming from us.
We're taking over.
Not yet, but it'll happen.
We'll get there.
Trust me. Let's see what else. If you did a voice for a game, would you also want to do the motion capture for the character? That's a good question. So if you did get more into voice acting, would you ever abandon the motion capture? Maybe when you get a little older, or is that something you'd like to do for as long as you can, along with voice acting?
That's a great question. I will do everything that they allow me to do. Obviously, you know, voice acting is great because eventually you can have your own studio in your house and you can send in your recordings. Like, that's a very nice setup. But I love to be physical and I love to create characters physically. So I can't let one go. I just can't. It's the same with stunts and acting. I really like a good blend of it.
Sounds good. Hey, what's up, Bad Karma and Ranger? I just saw you guys, your messages up above. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, you can use the giveaway gift cards to help vets in your charity. That sounds like the best idea I've heard yet. So
that's awesome.
Totally cool. I know she's out of my league. You don't need to tell me.
No, he said, no. Yeah, Zach, you are way out of her league.
Oh. Let's see. I got a haircut. It happens. Ranger.
And a different color.
Come back after the stream and see how you reacted to it. Great movie. Thank you, Bad Karma. I think Bad Karma was talking
Accident
about...
Man, yes, with Scott Adkins as the lead. Directed by Amy Johnston.
Do you like Gwen Stacy or the redhead? I wonder who Dan likes.
You really want me to answer that? Okay.
Who do you prefer?
I don't have a preference. Do you have a preference?
Mary Jane, or I think Mary Jane's the favorite. But I mean, I don't know. They're both cool.
They're both cool. I don't have a preference. I'm not like.
You did a voice for a game. We already answered that one. Vic's in the house.
Vic.
Sign language. We can't do sign language because we don't know sign language.
I mean, I could make it up, but you're not going to understand.
Would you like to do voice, facial, and motion, similar to how Melina? Where I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with that person. Oh, Hellblade. I love that game. Hellblade was like my favorite, and literally my favorite game of last year. If you guys haven't played it, check it out. Excellent game. Yeah,
a lot of times I do the facial capture for characters, but to do all of them at once, yeah, I'd love that.
Will we ever hear you sing? Yeah, for those of you guys that mentioned in my introduction for Amy, she does sing. She doesn't sing professionally. I think I might have set your guys' expectation. She can certainly sing, she just doesn't professionally. If she pursued it, I'm sure she could.
Yeah, honestly, I've been thinking.
She hasn't had any opportunities, really.
Well, I haven't created those opportunities, but that is something in my life that I would like to do something with very soon.
Yeah, sorry. Like I said, Ranger, we were going to do the interview first and then the questions, buddy. So sorry I'm a little late, but I'm trying to get to everything. So we're going to, in about 5 minutes, we're going to take like a 5-minute break to set up the game stream here. And we're going to be doing a Let's Play of Uncharted Lost Legacy with Amy Johnston herself. She worked on it. If you guys didn't hear it earlier, she did the motion capture for Nadine. So in about 5 more minutes, we're going to do that. So if you have any last minute questions, now's a good time to do it.
I have a question.
Kingdom Hearts. Go ahead.
I have a question for you. What are you most excited about regarding Spider-Man?
Miles Morales. You confirmed that he's in the game, right?
Guys.
I'm just joking. She didn't. But
let's get that clear.
But if based on their launch trailer that came out about a week ago, he's highly prominent. Are prominently featured in that trailer, so it really has the community wondering, including me, if he'll be playable in any way, or maybe he'll just be like an AI character that helps you at some points. That would be cool too. That's really it. And I'm also looking forward to just a really good cinematic, like high graphical fidelity, cinematic action set piece, kind of Uncharted-esque take on the Spider-Man game property. I know they kind of did that in Batman. Batman was more about like being a detective and things like that, and I think that was what made that game so good, because it nailed that aspect of the character. But Spider-Man, I want to play just this over the top spectacle, this summer blockbuster type of movie game. So
I think it's going to be amazing. Seriously, I'm really excited. And I want to shout out to all the other amazing stunt performers and performers in the game, like Noshir and Seth Austin. There's a lot of great artists that work on this game.
Okay, so Vic's got the best question of the evening, folks. Is Bonesaw in the game?
Bonesaw is ready.
Are you ready?
Bonesaw.
That'd be hilarious if he was.
I would love that. That's why I voiced. No, I'm kidding.
What's your best black cat pose?
I can't really do it here.
Just do it here. So, yeah. You know what's funny? Actually, Amy also did motion capture for... Don't worry, I'm not going to say anything I shouldn't. She also did motion capture for Catwoman in Telltale's Batman series. I think she mentioned that earlier. It was the first season, so... were you the only person that worked on that game for the motion capture?
No,
or was it a team thing?
It was a team, so we only did the previs. I think other artists did some Catwoman stuff as well, and then the studio took it and animated based off of our previs.
That's a great idea, Ranger. I think I might do the bone saw emote. I gotta work on that. By the way, if you guys are subscribers right now, I think it's just bad karma, man. You guys need to get on that, especially if you're Amazon Prime members.
Yeah, it's
free. It doesn't cost you anything.
So easy.
You get 1 free subscription a month. But in any case, by the way, those are definitely coming. Probably within the next couple weeks. I've just been working on some other things. Hopefully, you guys have noticed the stream's getting better incrementally. So, yeah. Didn't Laura Bailey voice Catwoman that too? Yeah, she said that. Oh wait, no, she voiced Nadine. Did she voice Catwoman that too?
Probably.
Oh my gosh! So you guys have worked together 3 times
without really working together directly. She's on everything. That's crazy. She's really amazing.
Yeah. What's crazy that you're kind of like her protege now.
I'm not her protege. I'm more of like her physical movement double.
Protege,
but better. She does a lot of the movement as well. I actually had I have some. I wish I could show you some of these poses that Erica Lindbeck and I created as Black Cat. We had a blast with it. We made up some really amazing walks that I'm sure will make a video for everyone. Yeah. It's kind of, I don't know how to explain that, but
okay. So Spider-Man theme songs in your head. Yeah. Oh, Vic, thanks, buddy. You. Appreciate the sub, man.
Can we do
the spider? Oh, yeah. Amy's been trying to get me to like come up with some like handshake thing.
Yes.
And the best we've come up with is attack the stack.
Boom.
She wants to do jazz like hands, but I'm not.
Do you like it? Do you like it?
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not. I'm not feeling.
You're not into it.
We'll deal with. We'll cross that bridge later.
All right.
But thank you so much again, Vic. I promise we'll make it worth it. Hopefully we already are. But cause me and Vic. What else did I want to say before I go on a break? Only Twitch. I've subbed. I even got my homies like that. I appreciate it, Vic. We're gonna go and fix that purple star badge you got there. We're gonna make that something better here in the next couple weeks, though.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vic. And by the way, guys, so you guys already know I have a Discord server up for the channel. We are going to be making that exclusive to subscribers at some point. Right now, since we've only been doing this for like a month and a half, I want to wait and kind of just let everyone get on board. But yeah, that is something that's going to be for subscribers only. Right now, if you're a subscriber, no ads, and we're going to get those badges and emoticons for you guys. And yeah, it's posted down below the video. I updated the page so you guys can see all that good stuff. Pop the sub share. I think I got everything. There's one last question I'll answer before we go on a 5-minute break, and then we'll come back with the let's play of Uncharted Lost Legacy. Last question, it was from C Torres. I think that's a great one to end on. Is there any project you would prefer doing coming up in the future?
Any project,
like any game that is in development now that you would love to be working on, or maybe there's a studio or a team that you haven't worked with before.
I really wanted to work on Last of Us 2.
Last of Us Part 2.
What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say maybe Hideo Kojima with his.
Oh my gosh,
Death Stranding. That game looks so out there.
I have to tell you, I have some friends who've worked with him, and they say that he's great. A lot of times they like don't really understand what he's saying, and they said that they think he kind of like creates it on the spot. He's just the stuff that he creates is amazing, and who knows where he's pulling it from.
He's one of the best ever to do it in any art form or media. Like Hideo Kojima is a trailblazer and a savant. Like
I would love to work with him on one of his games. That'd be amazing.
Can't say enough great things about him. But you said Last of Us 2 though, so they have
Last of Us 2.
So you're not working on Last of Us 2?
No,
not right now.
But no, not right now.
Well, you've worked with them before, right?
Yeah, I love Naughty Dog.
All right, guys. Amy, if you went to do one of those gaming conventions, you would pick up a lot of gigs with your talents. Yeah, we might be going to TwitchCon this year. I know that's not a gaming convention, but if you guys are going, are any of you guys going to TwitchCon? We'd love to meet up if you are.
Yeah, let's have
I'm pretty sure, I'm like 95% sure we're going to be going. Especially since we just made affiliate last month.
Boom.
I think it's a great place to network. So if you guys are going, let me know. We'd love to meet up. But yeah, gaming conventions. We'll be in San Francisco tomorrow through Friday. So I'm glad you brought that up. I won't be streaming this Thursday because of that. I might do a stream on Saturday to make up for it, and we'll definitely do one on Sunday. So just stay tuned to my social media, or maybe just pop in Saturday at probably 1. It'd probably be at 1 if I did it on Saturday. Yeah, so without further ado, guys, we're going to go on a 5-minute break. We're going to come back and we're going to do a Let's Play with actress Amy Johnston on Uncharted Lost Legacy, for which she did motion capture work extensively on the character Nadine.
Let's do it.
All right, guys. We'll see.
All right, and this is where we
attack this.
You guys like it.
All right, be right back, guys.